India have won the fourth test and they have qualified for the World Test Championship final against New Zealand at Lords. That will be one to watch. But we are here to discuss with Monty, of course. England, another slump for them, losing by an innings and 25 runs. Not the best of batting displays. After that first innings in Chennai, where they got 500 plus, 550 plus rather. After that, not even able to script 150 plus partnership. Monty, uh, was it the pitch or was it the England side's horrid batting? What do you think?
Yeah, I suppose it's been the batting. They've just not been able to. I think there was always going to be trouble with their game plan. Like you look at some of the players, they just like I think it's just basic things. Like if you're going to play the sweep shot, you play against the off spin if you're a right hand batsman, and they're doing it against Axar Patel. It's going to just it's going to, in fact, it's just a high risk shot. You're coming down the wicket. You come down the wicket to Ashwin, hitting for a couple of boundaries. Then you start doing it to Axar Patel. I think they're just doing it to the wrong bowlers, and I don't know why they're doing it, because I think they've just, they've got their game plans slightly wrong, where they actually playing high risk shots against the wrong bowler, and I think that's where they're sort of just giving their wickets away.
Exactly. The Akshar Patel doesn't give much air to the ball and doesn't give you time to step out. Very similar to Ravindra Jadeja. Ashwin gives you much more time. There is a chance of getting beaten in the flight, but you have to, if you have to take a risk, you should take it against Ravichandran and Ashwin. That's I think a very valid point. Akshar Patel picking up 5 wickets. Ravichandran Ashwin picking up 5 wickets. Akshar Patel must be thinking right now, why do they call it Test cricket? It's not a test for me at all. I've been taking wickets and wickets and wickets. He's done fabulously. The pitches have aided him, but he's still done the trick. Even if you get a half volley, you need to put it away. And similar to that, even if you get the pitch, you need to do the job. Akshar Patel, what a fabulous start to his career.
Yeah, look, he's had a dream start, and I think I've always said that he's a good bowler on helpful pitches. And he picks up wickets. He's very skillful. And for I think any spinner watching the game and they think, right, we've got young English spinners. They'll probably be at some stage, second half of the season when the wicket turns and they've got to win the match, in the last innings of a game. I think this is great to watch. Watch how Axar Patel bowls. Any left arm spinner or off spinner, it's a skill to win a game on a turning pitch. And they're doing a brilliant job of it. My only question remains with Axar Patel is I think he's only good bowler on helpful pitches, and that's my reservation at the moment with him. I would like to see him on that tour to England. I'm sure Jadeja will probably make the trip as well as Ashwin. And I would like to see him bowl on a flat pitch. And then I want to make my assessment. At the moment, I always say a good bowler on helpful pitches.
Oh, yeah, that's a tag that is associated with Akshar Patel right now. We haven't seen him bowl on flat pitches. Ashwin does that really well. He's bowled well in South Africa. He's bowled well in Australia. And he's obviously bowled well in India as well. That's why we call him the master. We can't yet call Akshar Patel the master because he's not shown his class on pitches other than this. All 3 matches he's played, there have been square turners. You have to say that, but you also got to give it to him. Uh, uh, in the same lines, there will come a question once India go to Lords to play that one-off test against New Zealand. By then, Ravindra Jadeja will also be fit. He would have recovered from his thumb injury. Does he come right in? Or do you give a bowler a chance who's taken 27 wickets in just 3 tests? That is the most for a 3 test series after Ajanta Mendis. He picked up 26 wickets in his debut series, 3 match series. Do you get Ravindra Jadeja in? It'll be a really tough choice.
It's an interesting choice because I remember the Sydney Test match where Ravindra Jadeja picked up key wickets when there was nothing going on. So you can see that Ravindra Jadeja has that ability to take wickets away from India. Now, I don't know if Axar Patel has the same ability. So that's something that they have to assess. His batting is obviously great. Ravindra Jadeja's good fielder. He just obviously offers a lot more than Axar. There's another, we haven't talked about Washington Sundar, who I think his batting is just beautiful to watch. So I think it's a lovely find. At number 7, it's just a great position for him. You know, he's got some senior batters around him, and then if he bats okay, he can sort of free himself up and play the shots. He can play with a tail. And so they've got like a nice, group of sort of squad now. India have got a nice group of players that they know how to win in India. But we've got 4 test matches happening in August. Actually, it's 5. So let's see how that goes, and what kind of teams they produce and wickets they create. But in terms of in India, I say absolutely brilliant performance. On these helpful pitches, young spinners. Especially in the county game where we are lacking spinners coming through. This is how to do it. This is how to win a game. Just watch, study it, learn it. It's great to see.
What do you think is the biggest plus for India in this Test series? There are a lot of them. Rishabh Pant's batting, Rishabh Pant's keeping, Washington Sundar as a find, Axar Patel as the find. Lot of pluses, lot of positives for India. A bit of things to work on as well. But overall, they'll take out many positives from this series. What do you think is the biggest plus for India after this series has concluded?
I think it's been Rohit Sharma for me. I'll be honest with you. I thought he, in the second Test match after lunch, that interval between lunch and tea, if Rohit Sharma got out, I think India probably would have been bowled out for under 300, 250, let's say. That the way he played, and the ball was actually starting to turn, but he was still playing fluently, and that kind of allowed for that pitch. I know it's a session, but it allowed India to bat whole day. And then they got into this second day where England were kind of struggling, but that was a turnaround moment for me in this Test series was Rohit Sharma's batting. And then what's impressed me is that he's able to bat like a traditional Test match batsman, in this Test match. So he has that ability. There's always that tag. He's only good away from it, and I think that's a tag he wants to remove. And I'm sure he wants a regular position and have a successful Test career. And for him to do that, he needs to then bat these 2 different modes where he sort of bats like a traditional Test match batsman, and then he can play his free flowing. They're the 2 kind of, I think, surprised all of us in this Test match how Rohit Sharma batted.
Big plus, I think. Definitely you have made a very valid point, because India have tested and tried many combinations. They've tried Mayank Agarwal, they've tried KL Rahul, they've tried Shikhar Dhawan in the past. Now Rohit Sharma, after playing for so long in white ball cricket and now making the transition to Test cricket, it's absolutely fabulous for India, because he's shown us the range. He's not just a white ball batsman now. He can play out the bowlers. He can rotate strike well. He can adjust to the conditions really well, and he's done that consistently. He's adjusted to the conditions whenever the batsmen have required to sweep. He's swept. Whenever you can play on the up, he plays on the up. Whenever you have to go forward, well, he has done that as well. I think it's been a brilliant show from Rohit Sharma. And coming to England, some of the points that they need to work on, Monty. What are the most important things that England will need to learn and work on after this series?
I think they need to look at how the ECB level coaching manuals are. I think that's what my in is. I think we're taught spin to play obviously in England, but then when India come to England and they play spin, they are successful. I think they need to change the coaching manuals. I honestly do. I think we need to go back down. We need to start off with how we teach players spin in England, how to play spin, and it needs to be the subcontinent way. And we need to put in that level 3, level 4 syllabus of the ECB. We need to change the style, and that's where it starts. So then coaches who are qualified in level 4, level 3 coaching, they will then only speak the language the way they've been taught. And if we then have the methods of how Indian batsmen are taught to play spin in India, that sort of transition starts taking place where I just think they sort of are playing in between. They're in between the crease. They either don't want to go back or forward, and the argument is, oh, but the pitches in England are slightly quicker. You're not taught to play spin that way. You can actually quite comfortably play it, right? Now, Dan Lawrence, obviously, yeah, he plays that shot off the back foot, but he doesn't go deep in the crease. He just hangs in there. Now, yeah, it's okay to do that. He's got other ways of doing it, but I still think he can make improvements. I still think that is a traditional, typical way English batsmen are taught to play on the back foot. Half little step, stay in the back. You got to go deep in the crease. You got to go at the crease, and that I think has to start with changing the syllabus of the ECB coaching manuals.
Fully forward, fully back. I think that is the mantra that the England batsmen need to use, especially against spin. You can afford to do that against the seamers. And like the Indian batsmen have also learned how to play against seamers, fast bowlers, the likes of Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, James Anderson. I think England need to do the same. They have to just do it to the spinners. They have to learn playing against spin. And now let's move on to the best tweets of the game. Malhar Anjaria says, honestly, I had lost hopes of a World Test Championship finals after drubbing in New Zealand, beating Australia in Australia, England immediately after that. What an amazing turnaround led by youngsters. Full credits to Pant, Sundar, Vihari, and Siraj. India's future seems to be in bright hands, Monty. All the players that are coming through. Pant, Sundar, Vihari played really well. Mohammad Siraj, what a replacement he has been for Jasprit Bumrah. Uh, Moves it both ways, natural outswinger, and that in dipper. Lovely set of hands that India's future is in right now. That's pretty great for a nation who's already winning and they want to climb the steps further. 3 months away, just the World Test Championship final, and I think India will be really looking to grab that as well. Let's move on to the second tweet. In 1983, Kapil Dev led India to their maiden World Cup final. Ganguly led India to their Champions Trophy finals in 2000. Dhoni, World T20 Finals 2007, and Kohli leads India to their maiden World Test Championship final. For sure, I think Movies Hut has said it rightly. Last tweet is, from being absolutely hammered in the first test in Chennai to winning the series 3-1. This India team deserves massive credit, poetic justice to win it by an innings too. What do you think went wrong, Monty, from the first test when England won? I think drastically well. Everyone was surprised, and you'd be surprised the kind of performances they've put up in the next three tests. What is the major turnaround do you think there was in this series for England when they started losing it?
I think the introduction of crowds, I know I'm talking something that is not more about the game. It obviously is, because you look at England's performance, in Sri Lanka, the two test matches did really well. First test match in Chennai, all of them three test matches, no crowds. Now, the last three, you have crowds, and England don't perform as well. Because I think it's the intimidation of the crowds, it's the environment changes completely when you enter the ground. And how do you deal with that? It's the noise, it's a psychological, pressure. And I think that bit England haven't tackled very well. And then, it gets, I've played in India when things, get very difficult, the crowd noise, and they get on top. Suddenly that pressure mounts more. And I just feel that that has played also a part on playing these rash shots where they just probably feeling the pressure. Now, that same type of bowling of Ashwin and or Axar Patel bowling that well with no crowds, they wouldn't feel much as the pressure. And that's what it is. Every
That
good ball, you hear the crowd noise, suddenly you think, right, this is getting too much for me. Let's go down the wicket. Let's release the pressure. And they're playing the wrong shot. Or they're sweeping outside off stump against a left arm spinner. If you're going to sweep a spinner, I've always told batsmen who've been very, well placed. Me and Mike Hussey used to work at Northants. He wasn't a great player of spin. I used to bowl hours and hours on the nets with him, and me and him. I remember Nick Cook, the second team guys, he used to drag us out of the nets. But he became an amazing player. He used to pull the ball just back of a length, even if it was that short from a spinner. He used to only look to sweep initially outside off stump because he knew it was a less risky shot. And then when it was at the stumps, then he would start once he got better. I think they've just got this completely wrong, England. England should be sweeping Ashwin as a right-hand batsman. And then from outside off stump, once they've nailed a couple of sweeps on outside off stump, then when he bowls it straight, then you play the straight sweep because it's easier, the transition. Axar Patel, you do not sweep Axar Patel. The ball's only if it's straight. But you only start sweeping Axar Patel once you've hit Ashwin a few sweeps because it gets your confidence going. This is what I mean by calculated risks, being strategic in your decision making. It really disappoints me that, England, were just crumbled and didn't really show much fight.
I hope the England batters get to watch this, because this is some great advice, I think, and it's absolutely correct advice. They should follow this. Let's move on to our last segment. That is the scorecard. Of course, India winning by an innings and 25 runs. Zach Crawley out for 5, Dom Sibley out for 3, Johnny Bairstow another duck, 3 ducks in 4 innings for him. Joe Root tried his level best, but wasn't enough. Cleaned up LBW by Ashwin, 30 of 72, Ben Stokes 2 of 9, Ollie Pope 15, Dan Lawrence good scores for him in both the innings, 50 and 46 in the last one. Ben Foakes 13, Dom Best 2, Jack Leach 2, and James Anderson 1 not out. Indian bowlers, nothing much to talk about except Akshar Patel and Ravichandran Ashwin, 5 wickets each for them. Siraj bowled well. Washington Sundar just 4 overs for him. And India winning by an innings and 25 runs, of course, qualifying for that World Test Championship final at Lords against New Zealand. There, the pitches will be different. The pitch will be different, rather. It won't be turning this much. So let's obviously an even contest between bat and ball. But this was also a good pitch to bat on. It was a little bit disappointing that England crumbled this way. Thank you, Monty, for talking to us, for having this lovely chat with us. It was again great getting that insight into the game, those details, fine, minute details of the game. We'll of course see you again in some other series. Road Safety World Series going on, IPL on its way. If it gets finalized, Monty, hope to see you again soon. You keep watching
Thank,
Sports Tiger, the only platform you need. Thank you, Monty.
thank you.